Julie Sanders is the director of the companion animal program for Paws International. She spent 10 years volunteering in the animal welfare sector as a welfare trustee for a sighthound rescue organization and is the founder of an animal welfare organization in Ireland focused on improving the welfare of racing greyhounds. She has a BA in Animal Behavioral Sciences and Welfare from the University of Greenwich. Achieving first-class honors, she was appointed in 2013 as country directors of For Paws International in the UK.
Thank you. Okay, so I just wanted to say a big thank you, first of all, to FCI and FCM for giving me the opportunity to present on a topic I feel very passionate about, that is passionate about ending it, and that's the illegal puppy trade. So today, I want to tell you why the illegal puppy trade should be considered as organized crime, what are the issues behind it, and what we need to do to stop it. So, I hope I got this right. So, organized crime, there's more than meets the eye. So I'm sure you're all familiar with the following organized crimes: human trafficking, drug trafficking, weapon trafficking, and wildlife trafficking. But people rarely consider puppy trafficking as organized crime, yet it has many of the components of organized crime that the other crimes have. So let's start with a definition. The United Nations says that organized criminal groups are a group of 3 or more persons existing over a period of time, acting in concert with the aim of committing crimes for financial or material benefit. However, Europol feels this is not an adequate description of organized crime today, which is highly organized or flexible criminal groups working through networks both nationally and internationally, using different means such as technology to exploit opportunities for significant profits illegally. So what makes the illegal puppy trade organized crime? Well, firstly, it's made up of highly organized and flexible criminal groups who are participating in this to make significant profits. It has a readily available network of unscrupulous breeders, vets, transporters, and dealers. Now, if it didn't have these players or people, it wouldn't exist. It's both national and international reach. It crosses borders. It's made up of illegal activities such as illegal cross-border transports and fraudulent documents such as the pet passport. Exploitation of the internet. If you think, a lot of the puppies are sold via social media and classified ad sites. And significant profits can be made. So if you think of a criminal organized group who are exporting and selling 50 puppies a week, that adds up to $2.6 million a year, untaxed, because it's tax evasion as well. In 2021, the EU recognized the illegal puppy trade as an organized crime for the very first time. And this is really significant because at long last, it's being treated as a serious crime, and it should be. So what is the illegal puppy trade? Well, it's where puppies are bred on puppy farms or puppy mills in Eastern and Central Europe and illegally transported to Western Europe for sale. And you'll see, I'll see if I can get the pointer, you'll see the map here. These are investigations that we've done in the UK, where we've identified illegally imported puppies coming from Romania, Hungary, Poland, and Lithuania. But we also know that puppies are coming from Bulgaria, Czech Republic, Latvia, and Serbia. So this is a huge crime. So how do the puppies get to Western Europe? Well, you have a whole network of breeders, unscrupulous breeders. They pass the puppies on to transporters, and the transporters take them, 1 minute. And the transporters take them to Europe, either going to several countries and dropping the puppies off, or going to just one country. Then you have puppy dealers. So the puppies are dropped off to puppy dealers, and the puppy dealers in the country then sell them to puppy buyers, and they sell them online. So the puppy trade presents an extremely lucrative business model. And the reason for that is because puppies can be bought relatively cheaply in Eastern Europe and sold for very high prices in Western Europe. And this was particularly true during the pandemic, when puppies were fetching up to 3 times their amount because of the unprecedented demand for puppies during this time. So what about supply and demand of puppies in Europe? VEDIAS research indicates there are around 92 million pet dogs in Europe, so a lot of dogs. And we need around 8 million puppies a year to meet the demand. It is estimated that only 1/5 of those are reared by licensed breeders, professional breeders. So we have this huge gap where we need puppies. So we know the gap in supply is partly filled by individuals and hobby breeders, but we also know it's being filled by criminal groups that are breeding on a huge commercial scale to meet the demand. So what pedigree breeds are sold for the illegal puppy trade? Well, these are some of the breeds that we've come across. I know Jane spoke about the French Bulldog, and the French Bulldog was extremely popular in the UK, certainly before the pandemic, and there was a lot of imported French Bulldogs. Now we're finding that the Dachshund is becoming very popular, and we're seeing a lot of imported Dachshunds. But the criminal groups will breed to demand. So if a breed becomes popular, that is what they'll produce. So what are the animal welfare issues? And I think it was said before, but obviously the dogs are kept in extremely poor conditions, especially the breeding dogs. You can see these 2 French Bulldogs here, basically in barren cages, no enrichment, no socialization, very little exercise, poor diet. So really, really a miserable life for the breeding animals. And of course, that contravenes legislation in different countries and international animal welfare standards. There's no or inappropriate veterinary care, and the veterinary care can sometimes be diagnosed and administered by the breeder themselves to save money. There's inappropriate breeding practices, and I know we've spoken a lot about exaggerated features and hypertypes, but that definitely happens in the illegal trade because the more cute you can get the puppies looking, the more likely you are to sell them. Parent dogs are bred too young, too old, and too often. And puppies suffer from medical issues because of inbreeding, for example, or because of the poor start they've had in life, and also behavioral issues due to lack of socialization. And there's killing of the breeding dogs when no longer of use, and often by inhumane methods. And the killing of puppies who are going to be difficult to sell. So those puppies that have deformities or disabilities due to inbreeding are also killed. I just wanted to show you some breeding dogs that we've rescued over the years, and you can see they're all in terrible condition. We've even got a blind dog being used for breeding. And, you know, these dogs are not treated as sentient creatures. They are treated really as commodities, and their welfare is definitely sacrificed for profits. So what makes the illegal puppy trade illegal? Well, we've spoken about the animal welfare side, but in terms of travel, because these puppies travel across borders, so puppies are often transported using the EU pet passport, and The EU pet passport is what it says, for pets. It's not for animals for commercial sale. And yet you can have, one person can have up to 5 animals with them. So you could have 3 people in a van and they'd be able to take 15 puppies with them. So it can easily be abused. Documents are falsified, such as the pet passport, so it can have falsified owner's details, vet's details, vaccination details. Puppies are not microchipped, or the microchip will have the incorrect details. And puppies enter Western Europe without the required vaccination or tapeworm treatment. And of course, that can have a big impact on both animal and human health, particularly if they've not had their rabies vaccinations. They receive food, water, or rest on the journey, which contravenes EU regulations. And we've even heard of puppies being sedated so that they're quiet and don't make a noise on the journey. And finally, puppies are often underage when transported. So under EU regulations, they can be transported at 4 months old. But we find them as young as 5 and 6 weeks old. So what makes it illegal in terms of selling? Well, you have commercial sellers posing as private sellers to avoid both regulation and taxation. And we heard about the UK tax authorities identified 257 cases over 4 years, avoiding 5 million in taxes. But this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of tax evasion. Puppy dealers pose as a breeder, so they have fake houses, fake mums, and the prospective buyer has no idea that their puppy was actually bred on a puppy mill in Poland and transported miles across land to get to them. Pups are under the legal age to be sold, so the legal age to be sold is weeks in most countries, and we find the puppies as young as again 5 or 6 weeks being sold. As I said, documents are falsified, and that includes the pedigree certificate as well. There's a lack of consumer protection because if your puppy's ill, you're not going to return it to the breeder, unlike a faulty product that you would return. Although you do have that consumer protection, but it just doesn't work that way. These are sentient creatures. And there's unfair competition because they can breed these puppies cheaply and they're far more readily available. So that poses unfair competition to professional and responsible breeders. So how are illegal puppies sold? Well, the main channels used are classified ad sites and social media sites such as Facebook and Instagram. We estimate around 400,000 puppies are advertised every day on classified ad sites in the EU, with a 1.6 billion market value per year. So why do puppy dealers use online platforms? Well, firstly, they give them access to thousands of prospective puppy buyers. They're quick, you can quickly post an ad. They're cheap, sometimes costing nothing to post an ad. And they're anonymous, and so you only have to give, for most platforms, an email address and a name, and so you can't be traced. And puppy dealers often use multiple accounts in different names on classified ad sites. So we did one investigation where we found a puppy dealer in the Netherlands who had opened 33 accounts and was selling 33 different litters, most of which were illegally imported. And few sites verify sellers, and there's definitely limited self-regulation or checking of ads. And I've often seen ads that are either contravening the posting rules or even legislation, and I can report them, but they're slow to remove them or they're not removed at all. Right, I hope this works. We've got a video here of a puppy dealer. Sorry, let's just go back a bit. Right, we have a video of a puppy dealer who is, basically he was a puppy dealer in Germany, and he turned whistleblower because he wanted to expose what was happening with the trade, and he worked with us. In this particular video, he's going to talk about how puppy dealers use classified ad sites. The particular site that most of the puppy dealers in Germany use is the eBay site. It's an eBay-owned site. Now, I know eBay says it doesn't sell animals, but it has a number of classified ad sites that sell animals. So, okay, no sound.
Oft interessiert ein Ehewerber, also eigentlich immer mit einer wunderschönen Annonce. Die Annonce besteht grundsätzlich, und da möchte ich das alle darauf achten, dass die wundervollen Tiere zu Hause aufgewachsen sind, Kinder kennen, Katzen und andere Tiere kennen. Das ist der grundsätzliche Satz, was jeder Ehewerber Hundehändler an eBay benutzt. Und ich denke, das ist mal wirklich 90% von eBay, Katzteil, alles wieder Hundehändler. Ich habe auch in den letzten Jahren niemals erlebt, dass eBay Verlage, egal welcher große Bestand, ob es jetzt bei mir war oder bei bekannten anderen Züchtern, das ist noch niemals so. Noch nie von eBay alleine. Jemand ein krankes Tier gekauft hat und die sofort in das Lager Wesen fliegen darf, verliert nicht nur das Stück als erstes, sondern verliert auch jede Menge an finanziellen Mitteln. Ausgabe zum Tier sofort gekriegt. Das hat man täglich 500, 600 Euro für den Aufwand. Zum Beispiel von jeder Züchter. Durch die lange Strecke, die Hunde transportiert werden, wundert man sich immer, warum sind die, wenn ich jetzt als Käufer komme, als Käufer, zu viel und lebendig. Die ganz einfache Bildungssache, wo man dann einfach was trifft, wo er zum Beispiel 5 Stunden lang total aufgeweckt ist. Das war ähnlich wie eine Verliebtheit. Jeder, der die Tierquälerei unterstützt, indem er ein Hund von Vermehrern kauft, muss ich dir bewusst sein, dass die Tiere nur gut gehalten sind. Diese Tiere bekommen nie genug dieses Futter. Diese Tiere bekommen selten Wasser und Schlaf. Die werden auch nur produziert. Das ist wirklich aufwendig. Die Rinder, die in Käfigen gehalten werden, die werden nur gefüttert, weil sie Kinder bekommen, weil sie Welpen bekommen. Eine Hündin, die vielleicht 4 Jahre, 5 Jahre alt ist, die sehr gut, die liegen hier gar nicht Ernährung. An dieser Beziehung wurde schon gesehen, dass ganze anonyme illegale Hundemann schon geschrieben wird.
So you can see it's really there's a lot of suffering for the animals in the trade. So I just wanted to show you some ads that I picked up on a little while ago, some suspicious ads, just to show you how the puppy dealers are using classified ad sites, Instagram and Facebook. Before I do that, I just want to talk about the law in the UK and the posting rules on the site that we're going to look at, so you know how they're contravening the rules. So the law in the UK says puppies must be sold by the breeder only, no puppy dealers. The puppy must be sold at the breeder's premises, in the presence of the mother, and no younger than 8 weeks old. Now, imported puppies can be sold, but the person selling them has to have a pet sales license. For the posting rules on the site, it says no imported puppies, no shipment or delivery of puppies, ad must include a photo of the mother of the puppy, or the ads will be removed if they contravene these rules. And Facebook and Instagram say they do not allow animals to be sold on their sites. So if we have a look at this ad, this was for Maltese puppies. It says puppy, but they were for puppies. And it's a shame we can't read. I don't know if you can read it out there. But basically, as we said, the posting rule is that no delivery is allowed. And this particular seller is offering delivery. And also that there must be a photo of the mother. And there is no photo of the mother. Now, what's suspicious about this ad is that the puppy's been advertised at 4 months old. Now, most puppies in the UK get advertised at 8 or 12 weeks old. So you start thinking, hang on a minute, this is the importation age. So I contacted this seller and I said, I'm interested in your puppies. And I asked if they were imported. And they said, yes, they come from Romania. So again, this breaks another rule of the site that they're being advertised on. And I said to the seller, well, do you have a pet sales license? And I didn't hear from a while. Then they came back and said yes. So I said, well, do you have the license number, which is a legal requirement? You have to give the license number. And then I never heard back, and the ad disappeared. So for me, that's a suspicious ad. And the next one is Maltese puppies. I don't have the posting, but again, these puppies were 4 months old. There was no photo of the mother. And so I wrote to the seller and said, are these puppies imported? And I was told, yes, but they're still in Romania. So they're not even in the UK, they're in Romania. And I asked, and the seller said that they will be ready on the 15th of September, so they can send them on the 15th of September. Now, this is a trick that puppy sellers, dealers use, is to find out what the demand is before they bring the puppies over. So for me, this was a highly suspicious ad as well. And here we have an ad on Facebook, remembering that Facebook says it does not allow the sale of animals. It does allow adoption of animals, so animals that can be adopted. And what you find is a lot of puppy dealers try and advertise their puppies for adoption, but really they're selling the puppies. So this particular person had 4 litters, so 4 different ads of different pedigree litters. So definitely not adoption. And I would say either a commercial seller or a commercial breeder. And here we have Instagram. And Instagram says it does not allow the sale of animals. But on this particular day, there are over 1 million posts for puppies for sale. And a lot of puppy dealers use Instagram. But it's not just the social media sites and classified ad sites that are integral to the illegal puppy trade. It's also consumers who are driving the demand. So we carried out some research back in January 2022 of 7 countries in Europe, and respondents were people who had purchased a puppy over the last 2 years. Now, the findings of the research were not a surprise to us, but it confirmed what we always believed. Most of the puppies have been bought from classified ad sites and social media sites because people are so used to now buying their products online, and it's the same for animals. Buyers place most importance on appearance, and that was not breed type, that was what the animal looked like, the color or the size of the puppy. And buyers did not conduct sufficient research prior to purchasing a puppy. In fact, most buyers considered that they had carried out research because they looked at a classified ad site. Almost half of the puppies were too young, so under 8 weeks old, and almost a third of the puppies became sick after purchase, particularly from Instagram. So puppy sellers in all countries, we could see, disregarded the legal requirements. So how can the illegal puppy trade be stopped? Well, in terms of regulation, we need to introduce measures which ensure only the breeders can sell their puppies, so no puppy dealers. And this is the legislation we have in the UK now. We need to introduce a central registration system for all breeders, so all breeders are traceable. And we need to introduce mandatory pet microchipping and registration, so all animals are traceable and their legal owners. We need to ensure only registered breeders can sell only registered microchip puppies. And we need to make classified ad sites responsible for verifying sellers' animals' details legally. We need to introduce laws to ban pet sales on social media. Clearly, the social media sites are not enforcing their own bans. Need legislation to do that. And we need to introduce higher penalties for those breaking the law, as well as better enforcement. We heard about one puppy smuggler that had both drugs and puppies in his car, and that often happens with organized criminal groups, is they mix different crimes. The drugs had a street value of 10,000, the puppies a value of 15,000. Yet the drugs would get a custodial sentence, but the puppies wouldn't, and it really wasn't taken seriously as a crime. So we really need to take this crime seriously. So what is Paws doing about the illegal puppy trade? Well, in terms of regulation, we lobby the EU. We're very active at lobbying the EU and are in a number of working groups, and we take part in a number of consultations. In particularly, we've been integral in terms of the EU animal health law, which now says that all breeders and sellers of cats and dogs have to be registered in their country. And also, we've been campaigning in terms of the Digital Service Act, so that classified ad sites become legally responsible for checking sellers' details and the animals being sold details. We also lobby all EU countries to introduce mandatory identification and registration. That's pet microchipping and registration. I think there's 4 countries at the moment don't have that, but most countries do now for dogs, so that's great. But we don't just campaign, we also come up with animal welfare solutions because sometimes that is what is needed. So we could see that classified ad sites needed a system to check the sellers and the animals being sold details. So we worked with EuroPetNet, Microchip, which is an association of microchip companies across Europe, to come up with a system that classified ad sites can use to verify sellers' details. And I've got a video here that will explain more. Okay. Video not working. No? Help?
Make the online puppy trade safe and block access to illegal puppy dealers. How? Only microchipped and registered dogs can be sold online by traceable sellers. 4Paws and 𝐒𝐸𝐞𝐞 introduce VeriPet. VeriPet is an innovative technical solution to help classify and combat the illegal puppy trade. VeriPet is implemented by 𝐒𝐸𝐞𝐞 and 4Paws in partnership with pet registration databases and classified ad sites. So, how does VeriPet work? When registering a dog's microchip in a pet registration database, the dog's owners must be verified first. Registration must be done by a vet or other authorized professional. When placing an advertisement online, the seller must enter the puppy's microchip number into the classified site. The advertising site checks the microchip number via the pet microchip registration database. Must ensure the verification checks cannot be bypassed and only ads for verified dogs can be published. Any code is sent to the registered owner. The owner enters. The owner has now been verified and the advert goes live on the classified site. If the owner does not pass verification, then it will not be published. Benefits of VeriPet. Activity. Consumer protection. Puppy trade.
Microphone. So we focus on an industry solution and regulation, but we've also focused on puppy buyer awareness. So we have a campaign called 𝐒𝐸𝐞𝐴, which we launched last year. Cute because people are buying puppies because they're cute. Quick because they're buying them online. And sick because, as we've seen, a number of puppies end up sick. And this leads to our website where we have a number of resources for prospective puppy buyers they can use. So just one final slide. What can kennel clubs do to help end the illegal puppy trade? Well, they can lobby their own governments for better regulations so all puppy breeders, sellers are traceable and accountable. Promote responsible breeding. We've got this huge gap where we haven't got breeders, so really encourage people to become responsible breeders. As part of that, offer training courses, guidance for first-time breeders. Set up and promote accredited breeding schemes because people really, the public really don't know where to go to find a puppy, and some of the public don't even know about the kennel clubs. So really promoting the kennel clubs so that the public can find a good breeder. And educating the public on how to buy a puppy responsibly is really important. And then finally, be the leading advocates for both responsible breeding, selling, and owning of dogs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julie. Do we have any questions for Julie?
Thank you, Julie, and I appreciate a lot what you've done and what you will do. I'm happy the European legislation asks some registration by the breeders. My question is, with whom we should meet to find it out how this registration could be done by the kennel clubs, because it's going on even in my country by some governmental authorities, and they cannot care less how many puppies are there, how many dogs are there, so they give this license and registration for puppy farmer, because they have a different point of view where you put the dirt and the litter, and those are the questions they are asking, and it's not related what we want to avoid. They don't want anything wrong, they just don't really in the right track. So the question is how FCI or different kennel clubs can approach and to whom to try to negotiate to make the kennel clubs or the FCI involved in the registration.
Yeah, there is an EU working group on the animal health law. So what I would suggest is I can give you the details of the working group so you can contact them and talk about your concerns and what you actually wish to do in terms of the kennel club. Sorry, I can't hear. Well, I'm not the EU, so I hope so. But yeah, hopefully you will be able to meet them.
I think maybe his question is more, who specifically should we be lobbying, or the right channel or person to go to, either in the EU or, in the EU.
Well, it's the EU working group, so I would get the details of who to contact on that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Just a comment, and you did cover this, you had one bullet on this issue, but I think an important thing that kennel clubs need to do is to breed dogs. Everything we do that makes it, that we breed fewer dogs, the demand doesn't go away. So we have to have more breeders. We have to educate people, pull people in, mentor people, turn them into kennel club breeders, have them in your schemes. Breeding less doesn't solve the health problem, and it doesn't solve this problem. Laws, and speaking as an American, 30 years of the war on drugs, we still have a problem. You cannot regulate this out of existence. If kennel club breeders only produce 20% of the demand, people will find a way to get a dog. And the more laws, the more that puppy will be worth.
Can I have a quick comment on that? I'm Hungarian, and the name of the country was on the slide, and I'm really well experienced on the legislative problems, the law enforcement problems in the country, how it affects everywhere. And the problem is, and I will talk about this tomorrow in my presentation, so this is a teaser for tomorrow, that here comes the problem, and that's what Jane Ladlow also talked about, that what to do with those people producing these sick dogs. And the problem is that these dogs are blamed on the breeders. In Europe, breeders are completely demonized. They are the scapegoats for all problems. In Hungary, for example, 6-7% of the whole population comes from registered breeders. The rest comes from puppy farms, backyard breeding, etc. So it is not that simple, not that easy, and we really have to take this problem seriously. It would be good to reduce the number of breeders, but at the moment in Europe, you always hear that all the welfare matters related to dogs goes back to the registered breeders, and it is not easy to fight this situation.
But I totally agree, but the point is that kennel clubs need to grow. There need to be more kennel club breeders, and that takes effort. And being more exclusive, more elitist, more we don't need you here doesn't help the situation. You have to bring people in, educate them, teach them, get them into your schemes, and then people will find your dogs. If they can't buy your dogs, they'll go find a dog from somewhere else.
Any other questions?
Hello, I'm a microchip implanter in Australia. We're really lucky in that the majority of our dogs and cats are all microchipped. Step one. Going back one step, I have animals brought to me as a litter of puppies or as a single puppy. And once I put a microchip in them and fill in the form, that person is the owner of those puppies. But the person putting the chip in has no legal requirement to check that. Do you have issues with that here as well? Litters have been stolen, and so we keep up with Facebook to see whether they might come to us and be aware. But do you have any safeguards that you can suggest for that kind of before the beginning step?
Yeah, I mean, we're working with EuroPetNet, which is, as I said, an association of microchip companies, microchip and registration companies across Europe. So for us, it's really important who's putting that microchip in, and it really has to be, you know, a qualified person, preferably the vet, although there are people that are trained in using.
We have a course that we have to do.
But really, you know, it's part of the side of things that we're looking at how to make sure that that doesn't become a loophole that you can get through,
Yes.
especially with our VeryPet system. So that's very important for us. So I think more focus needs to be put on microchips and registration and making that a legal requirement, because at the end of the day, that's the only way you're going to trace dogs. And it also helps in terms of public health as well. If we have an outbreak of a disease, then you really need to trace, you know, the source of the dogs. So I think people are starting to realise the importance of the microchip and registration, and I think there'll be, you know, different things in the future on that.
Another part to that question is, many people, percentages in the groups use thermochips, which give you...
Sorry, I can't hear that one.
Do percentage of the groups that you see use thermochips, which give you the immediate temperature readout, therefore you know you've got a sick dog? Is that something that is being used? Because that would be a great indicator.
Yeah, it's not something I've come across, but
No?
I'm sure there's a lot of developments happening
It's in other
on
species.
microchipping, including GPS and
Yes,
different things.
yes.
So, yeah, so that's interesting. I'll have a look at that. Thank you.
That's excellent. Thank you very much.
One final question.
Right, I would like to know, perhaps this is a part of the solution. First of all, thank you for the presentation. I would like to know if there is any social program, because that is important too, not just tackling, because I think we are just focusing on one side of the coin, and socially we have to work with the people. As breeders, we can have a dog and sell the dog or produce more dogs, but the people won't buy because they are expensive. And I want to know if there is a social program to raise awareness on people and help them realize that buying a dog with a breeder is better instead of with a dealer.
Okay. I mean, I'm not aware of government-run, but there might be in different countries, to be fair. But I know there are a lot of charities out there, animal welfare charities, who, like ourselves, who are doing a lot of work to try and raise the public's understanding that there is an illegal puppy trade, that there's a lot of risks when you buy online, and, you know, you really need to buy a well-bred puppy, and sometimes a well-bred puppy means waiting. And the problem is today, people want things instantly, and this is why the internet has become a facilitator to get things instantly. So really trying to get people to understand that you should wait for a well-bred puppy, but also for breeders to understand that you really should interact with people during that period that they're waiting for their puppy and make it feel like a journey for them, a special journey, and so that they know when they have their puppy, they've got a special puppy, yeah. Thanks.
Muchas
Thank you very much,
gracias,
Julie.
Julie, por esta gran ponencia.
I want to thank the FCI board members for giving Mexico the opportunity of having this important World Congress for Welfare and Health for the dogs worldwide. We are really pleased and thank you so much for giving us this great opportunity. And also I want to thank all the speakers from all over the world who participate in this great event. Thank you.